Hello and welcome to Amethyst Style Crafting. My name is Jane Hallmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today I thought we would make a spring card. So I'm pulling in two stamp sets. This one, which is the Friendly Gnomes, because it has some lovely sort of images with flowers and things, and it has spring is everywhere and little birds and squirrels and things, which I think are quite sweet. And the Country Bouquet, because I like the leaves in here and I like the hearts, and I think we're going to pull some of those in. I'm using up, as I know a lot of you enjoy seeing me using things that we've got and scraps and things. So this is the base part of the card. So let me just show you what I've done with this. I'm just moving some of these little bits off, so we just do some bits at a time. So I've looked at, and these are literally scrappy pieces. So I've got some little pieces, you know, when you're cutting down the end of a piece of card DSP pattern paper because you want it to fit into something specific, and you just have to take a sliver off. This was off the end of, which I really love the way this flowers come up, the end of, again, I showed you a week or so, a couple of weeks ago, of doing 6 cards with 1 sheet of this designer series paper, which is available during Celebration, which we're just coming to the end of. So there's that piece, and then these are just sort of little scrappy bits that we always seem to have odd shapes. Really doesn't matter on the shapes. We're just literally using some pieces to build up the card. So I thought we would do that bit probably first. I've taken, this is a piece of Pear Pizzazz, and I've just taken a circle out of it, and then so from the layering circle dies, any circle dies or squares or whatever you've got, and I've just taken 1 smaller in there, so we've got that to work with as well. And then to fill in the hole, I've just taken a piece of basic white, and I'm just putting that in there. That's got a 1/4 inch border in on there. So if I start just putting some of these pieces to one side, because these are what we're going to use to start off with, to just build the interest around it. And I'm going to take this piece. No, I'm not actually, because I'm taking a scrap. If you haven't got the dies to coordinate with these, now these came with dies because there was Kind Gnomes, which is, or Kindest Gnomes. This one came out at Christmas time. So we had the Kindest Gnomes with the lovely cute gnomes there. And to be honest, you could use any of these because they work at all times of the year. However, if you got these with the dies, because I love gnomes, these fit the dies, so they're the same ones that will fit the dies, which is really rather good because it allows you to you know, use the dies for more than one thing. I don't know whether these will be carried over. They probably won't, but you know, gnomes for me are all the year round. You know, we have gnomes in our gardens as just sort of sweet little, you know, creatures that that you put in the garden that you know, bring you good luck and things. So I'm going to use, I think, this one with the flowers on, because it is a flower time. So let me have a look. I've got her, she's got a flower in her hair. I might use, shall we use her or shall we use him? Let's use her for a change, shall we? Don't know whether I've got anything to do her hair with. That's the only trouble. Have I got any yellows? Ooh, I've just put an order in for some more blends. So no, I'm going to use the one with, I could use the one with the heart because I might pull in some hearts. Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? I think I'm going to use the one with the heart. I know I said spring and flowers and things, but to be quite honest, it really doesn't matter which one you decide to use. I'm just going to put him, where am I going to get this in on here? I think I am just, there we go. So we'll pick him up, and I'm doing him in Memento because I want to be able to colour him in with blends. So I'm literally just putting him in down on here like that. There we go. Love the way you get the detail out on the stamps. It's very clever. Very clever. So let's put that on there. Need to get my chamois out to give it a clean. I always, as you know, try and clean up as I go along. And I know with videos, you know, sometimes people like to see the whole process. In fact, sometimes when I think I've tried to be a bit quick and miss something out, there'll be a colour or something that I haven't mentioned, and you always turn around and say to me, you know, oh, what was that colour? So I know that you are watching a lot, which is good. Okay, so I'm just going to bring these out to just make sure I'm pulling in the right colours. So I have got this little flower. So that flower is the rich raspberry. So I've got a light and a dark rich raspberry. I've got a bright pink, which is, this is an old one, so I think it's lovely lipstick. But again, I don't use, you know, I make sure I use them. And then I've got a couple of sort of flesh coloured ones, which is dark and light. In fact, they're two different ones. I've got dark petal pink and I've got light pink pirouette, because again, I'm running low of them, so I was wanting to make sure that I had you know, enough of each one. So I think I'm going to use the dark petal pink just for his nose, because you want his nose to be sort of slightly bright. So I'm just doing that on, and I might take a little bit of the petal pink and just go round on here to give it just a little bit of a highlighting in on there. I think that's probably all I need to do, and I might just give just a little bit of pink on the cheek there. Okay, so I'm going to do the heart is going to be in this bright. Oh, I might be running out of this one actually. See if I get the other end of it, because that's a bit frayed. There we go. Let's do this one. So I'm taking this out. I always try and go round the outside first, because then it stops it bleeding when you go on the inside. And this would be better if I had the light as well, but it just shows you can use what you've got, and if you haven't got stamping blends, you can use any other alcohol markers that you might have. There we go. So that gives us a pink heart, and then I want to do his, let's do it in the light. This is the rich raspberry. So this is the light rich raspberry, and I just want to do little mittens. And this one holding up on here, because that will go with the flower. And then we'll have the hat. I just need to go, and as I say, I always go, as you can see, round on the edges first, because then it stops that bleeding coming through. And as I say, it depends how juicy your blends are when you first get them. So I've got some that'll be coming in the next week or so, and you'll be able to see that they will be very, very juicy. So I will need to be careful when I get to the edges. It is like everything with using pens like this, it has to be a light touch. You know, if you're quite heavy-handed, it's the time to learn how to be a little bit lighter touched, particularly when you're going around the edges and things. You know, they are the tips of all of these sorts of pens, and it doesn't matter what make you have. You know, you have to be a little bit gentle with them because they will fray otherwise. I'm going to do his feet as well in this colour, because that will then match up with that flower that we're putting in. Now, if you wanted to, if you didn't have this one or didn't want this one, you could actually put the owls, the free celebration owls, if you wanted to. I'm just going to take this up there because I think that's sort of part of his little, I think that's just looking through on there, it's a bit, that's got to be part of his arm, hasn't it? It's coming through on there like that. That's better. Okay, so now we're going to take the dark, and with the dark we're just going to go through on, so the bottom of his shoes here, so you can see that they would be darker, just at the top of the wrists, just a little bit down on here, so you can see where the sort of the dark part would come in the creases, the bottom of his hat, coming down where his nose is, just in on the bottom here, and then down on here on his hat underneath there, like that. That will be lighter, that will be dark. And then you can just take the light again and just give just a little blendy part in here, just on these bits, that it just makes it not quite so harsh. There we go. And then on here, I think Next Door's Dog is coming out on cue. So my little dog will come racing down the stairs. We'll do it right. Now I am going to, oh, his arm's there. I forgot his arm on there. Sometimes it's difficult to see on these, isn't it? I want the light first. Let's take the light. I've just worked out that there's his arm there. So we want to have his little arm coming up, down like that. That will come in there. And then we'll take this, because this is the little dark bit, and that can just come down in on here to just give a little bit of the shadow running in on there. Okay, perfect. Now I just want to get the, and I'm only going to use, I don't know whether I'm going to use both, but we want his little beard can be white or can be difficult to tell. I've just realised I've got another little bit of trouser there as well. I thought it was all beard, so I think I'm going to be all right with that. I was going to colour a bit of his beard in grey, but I don't think I will, because this actually comes in quite nicely just in on here to give the bottom of his little trousers in on there. So let me just take this to give a bit of definition, just in on the shadow, so his beard will stand out just a little bit more. Take that up in like that. There we go. Okay, so I think that that's going to be fine. I could I could do just a little bit of grey in there, but because I'm going to be cutting him out, or die cutting him out, it's going to be quite easy. So let me just grab the, I've got to find them now. I don't think I've got them. Is that my gnomes? Here we go. Right, so I want to take that little gnome and let's make sure we've got the right one. That looks like him with his little hat that way. There we go. So as I say, it's really good because you can use the dies from both sets, which, you know, is great. And if you don't want to, you can fussy cut them out. They're not a hugely difficult one. Now I'm using the mini to cut this out because it's easier for me to just pop him on my desk. Now this, I've seen a lot of, you can get the, what's it called, the boho blue at the moment, and a lot of people have been saying, oh, I don't know about this, it's not very good. I use number 4 plate. Okay, the reason I do that is because my plate is really quite tight, and it means that if I try and use any other plate on there, I can't. It just won't go through at all. So, and people are like, oh, you've got to offset it, you've got to this, you've got to that, you've got to, you know, who wants to be spending all their time offsetting things and faffing about with them? Says me. I might have to actually just put this down in a, I'm just making sure that I've got this in the right place. So yeah, I can just literally take it through and whoops, that didn't work, did it? I've missed one off, have I? Maybe I need to have one that's, wait a minute, I've got something that isn't quite right on here. Let me just get the other bit. There's me. Let's forget about number 4. Number 4 is a bit too small, as you can see, but this is number 3. So it's number 3 that I've been using because, as I say, I can't get it through otherwise. So let's have a go again. You can play around with the plates. You can put whichever plates you think are going to be the easiest to go in, but some of them you will find are really quite difficult to put in. So let's put this one in. There we go. And you can hear it go click and just come through. So that's cut that one out quite nicely. They are great little machines. They really are. You just have to play around with your plates. And I think it's because they're so small, I think what happens is that the plates that you use with them, there's not a huge amount of space going through here. So you can have different ones. So I think the one that, I can't remember which one that you're supposed to, I think it's number 1 that you're supposed to use. Yes, that's the plate for cutting dies. This is too thick. So I've not been able to use that at all. However, plate number 3, as you can see, works absolutely perfectly. So try different plates before you turn around and go, oh, I'm sending it back. You know, it's one of those things. You will either be lucky and have one that goes through straight away or not. But because they're very small, they can be just a little bit difficult, shall we say. That's probably the easiest way of putting it. As I say, I use mine all the time now, but it took me a while. I was really, to start off with, in fact, if you go back, I don't know how long, I don't even know if I put the video up. When I first got mine, I was just beside myself. I thought, you know, I bought this thing and it doesn't work at all. However, using the different size of plate to go through, which is the thick embossing plate, I found that works perfectly. So little tip for you. So he is going to go in on here, and you can see we're starting to sort of build up. He's going to work perfectly with those colours. Now I do want some leaves, as I was saying, and we're using the Country Bouquet, and I want to use, these are my leaves. So I want to just take, I always do a template, because if I want to do more than one thing, I can do that. Now I think, will I get these on here? Yes, I will. Let's just turn them down, and I can just take this at a bit of an odd angle like that. Now I've got a couple of scraps of green, and I'm just going to, I can do this in the center because then that will come out. I need to take my punch. Now the punch is the Country Bouquet punch, and I just want the leaves. I think I'm going to end up having to do a heart in on there, but I think that's because you can't do it any other way. So let's have a look. I've got Pear Pizzazz and I've got Garden Green. I don't know whether Pear Pizzazz is going to work on this, because this is, I think, this darker one is a Garden Green, but we'll see. We'll see. So I'm just going to put it in like that. Oh, that's fine. And I'm going to put another one in. I like the way that you get the light and dark on this. So that's that one. So there's 4 in there. Will I get one in on there? Yes, I will. Need to take that. I'm going to do that in the Garden Green. I know this isn't Garden Green. I don't know what scrap that is. I think it's Tranquil Tide, maybe. When I go to my scrap box, I will use whatever scraps I've got. So this is going to be interesting, because I don't know whether it'll fit in there without doing a bit of a wiggle with it. But I think it should be all right. Oh, it might be a bit tight. Okay, so I've just done a couple of leaves, and a way to turn round, and these will work in fine, I think, because I can take these in. Let's see if I can just move it across without having to do some. No, I'm going to have to put some tape in on here. So what I tend to do is, let me see if I can find some. There we go. If you've got a piece that is too small, like that, which won't fit in, take a post-it note and put the post-it note right in on the top, because then that gives you a handle to be able to put this in, and then you can get it exactly where we want it. And as I say, you are going to get some of the heart in on this, but that's because it's only a scrappy piece. I've just got to make sure that I get it in the right place. Oh, there we go. I think that's about right. There we go. That's one leaf. Where did the other one go? That's the other leaf. Okay, so that's 2 of those. And because these are scrappy pieces, I'm not worried about it just taking a little piece of this off, because, you know, when you're using tiny scraps, you're not that worried. I'm going to show you a little trick for the other piece, because I don't want to waste the whole of the other piece. So I don't want to waste the whole of this up here, but I think we can get round that. So, sorry, I'm probably off screen while I was doing that bit, just putting my thing up. So let's put this in on here, and again we'll just wiggle it around till we get it where we want it. I think I've done that one a little bit too. There we go. It's about right. I think, is it? Move it in just a bit. There we go. Okay, so that's another leaf. And that's another one. So we've got 4 of those, and if I don't use them, I can always use them on the others. So that's how to do them when you've got little scrappy pieces. Now a piece like this, all I'm going to do is take my snips, and we're going to just cut it down along here. Because then we're not taking anything from the top. So let's have a go with this one. I'm just going to try and work out which one is the easiest to do that way, I think. So let's find this one. I think that's just about right. Oops. No, not quite in there. It's a little bit fiddly. Not too bad. A lot of it is, as I say, as you know, my hands are not the greatest, so I do struggle. Now I can do this one the other side, and just line that up. If you look at the points, I've just realised if I look at the points on each one, that I think is the easiest. There we go. So that's that one, and that's that one, and that can sort of go out of the way. Okay, so we'll take that out. I might do a flower in there, not sure yet, we'll have to see. And the last thing I need to do is to do a sentiment. And the sentiment I want to do is the spring, because, you know, spring's just around the corner. And I know that a lot of us have had some quite severe weather over this winter. You know, the UK don't have a huge amount, well, where I am in the southeast, I don't have a lot of snow, but we've had very cold weather and very wet weather, which makes it really quite miserable sometimes. You know, I can walk the dog sometimes for a whole week, and it's pouring with rain the whole time, which isn't very nice. So spring is everywhere. We're going to have that one, I think. Let's try and find it. That's probably spring is everywhere, because it's the one I've used. And I'm going to take the little bird, and I'm going to take the little squirrel, because I do like both of those. And we'll have a look and see if we've got room and time to do that. Now, this I'm doing in black because I got something else in black, and this is going to be just cut up. So I want this. So spring is everywhere. It doesn't really matter where I do it. Let's not waste it. Right up in that little bit. Spring is everywhere. That's fine. So I can cut that one up. And while I'm at it, I am going to, because even if I don't have time to do it with you, hopefully I will. And you can always fast forward through things that you find a little bit boring, but I do like to try and do things live and craft with you as I go, because I think that helps a lot of people. So little scrap on here, we'll have little squirrel, and we'll have we only want one of each, and we'll have a little bird. I do love these. I think they just add just a little bit of character on here. So that's the little bird like that. Okay, so we need to look at colouring those in, and then I've got my paper snips out so I can do those. Let's put those back in there. So we've got our leaves ready to go. We've got our sentiment ready to go. I can just take that off like that, because I am going to cut it up. So that's my sentiment. Now I've just got these two little characters. Now I can have the squirrel as a grey squirrel, because where we are, you don't get any other squirrel but grey squirrels. you get red squirrels in Scotland, and there are a few other places. I think the Isle of Wight, you've got some red squirrels, but when the grey squirrels came in many, many years ago, they were so sturdy, as it were, that they wiped out the slightly I was going to say gentler, that's the wrong word, but the squirrels that weren't, the red squirrels weren't as robust, so the grey squirrels took over, and there's lots of parts of the country where there's no red squirrels left at all. And where we are, part of our the southeast, and I think the most part of England. I'm sure somebody will turn around and say actually they've been reintroduced somewhere, but the majority of it, right, come on, thank you. The majority of it, you don't have very many red squirrels. So I want this, I'm going to have it round on the outside bit, I think, just in around on there. I'll have this on his back there, like that. Give him another little, oops, go in on here. I do like using blends. They are quite fun to use. Okay, so that's him. Now my little bird has got to be in Calypso Coral and a pale brown. And I don't need to do too much shading on this, so I've just literally got a little bit of Calypso Coral. And so I'm just going to do, I always do them as robins because we have a lot of robins, and robins are one of my favourite birds. So I'm just literally just doing a round bit like that. I might do his little beak in orange. Like that. And then this is dark crumb cake, which is fine because I don't think I've got a light one or anything. I'm using the fatter tip of this because I'm just going to just bring it in around on here. And just up like that underneath. So that's my little robin. Just missed that little bit there, haven't I? There we go. Okay, so let's make sure I've got the lid back on. That's the thing that you have to make sure that it clicks when the lid goes on. So you need to put it in the little hole bit in here and make sure you hear it go click, because then you know that it's on perfectly. Because that's, if you don't do that, I think that's where sometimes I've struggled and mine have gone dry a bit quickly because I haven't quite pressed the cap on. They are stiff. If you have dexterity issues, so if you've got, you know, a bit of arthritis in your hands and things like that, and they're maybe not the strongest, then you know, be aware of that. It's not the easiest thing to work with, it really isn't, but they are so good because you just get that lovely piece that you can, you know, that you can get the light and the dark really easily, whereas with other blends they are sometimes a little more difficult to use. And you know, don't get me wrong, although I'm a demonstrator and I do use all of their products because I think that they are very good quality, I have got other alcohol markers which I use as well sometimes. So you know, use what you've got, And again, you know, for all the people who are just starting out, just buy a few of something and see how you like them. I think it's very easy sometimes to turn around and go, oh, I'm going to have all of this and all of that, and then you get it and you go, oh, I don't like this. So, you know, always try a few things, because, you know, just because I think that they're brilliant, you know, you make your own mind up on things, and there's an awful lot of things out in the marketplace now that, you know, you decide what you want. I've been a demonstrator for, what are we on now? My 7th year, I think. Must be around there. It was 5 years a couple of years ago, because I got a 5-year stamp, and I think the next one is 10. And I just enjoy using the, you know, the different products that come out. I really do. I think my difficulty is that I find it very difficult to let go of anything. So I've got a bookcase in my hallway, which is a floor to ceiling bookcase, which is just full of retired stamps. Because there's always something, you know, if somebody wants a birthday card for something, I had to do my eldest granddaughter passed her driving test. You have to be 17 in the UK to learn to drive, and with the pandemic and everything, the waiting list to take your test is 6 to 9 months. So she's had all her, and you have to do a theory test, and you have to do a written theory test that that you have to pass before you take your test. And then, you know, it's quite difficult. I think far more difficult than a lot of countries. But she had her test, and she had to go and take her test quite a long way away from where she lives, you know, with mummy and daddy, my son and daughter-in-law. And so she had her test at 8:30 in the morning, and it was 6:30 they had to leave to get there, so it was like 2 hours away. But cut a long story short, she passed first time, absolutely delighted. So I made a congratulations card, and I've got a stamp which has got a large congratulations, which I've had since I first started as a demonstrator. So, you know, it just goes to show that the stamps will last you probably your lifetime. Okay, so we've got our base, which we've cut our circle out of, and this is just a white piece. I'm not going to do anything else with it. I'm just going to stick it straight on here. So let me just get some wet glue out. I've got 2 because I'm running out of, I can't remember which one I've nearly run out of completely, because they feel the same. So I'm just making sure I've got both of them out, because if one doesn't come out, which it might be this one. Oh, is it? Yes, it's coming out. Just, and if not, I'm going to have to get another one. Let's take this one out and see what we've got on this. I think maybe they're both completely empty. I think I might have to get another one. We'll have a little bit of patience yet. Take the other end off and see if I can get anything out of here. If I can get anything out of here, then whoops, there we go. There is some left on there, so that's fine. Always remember you've got 2 things, and even though I've had it up, it just means that I've just got a little bit to go on here before it's run out completely. Okay, so we're going to put this in on here like that. And because I've got glue and everything on there, I am going to stick it onto the base of a base card while I'm at it. So let's just make sure that we've got, because this obviously comes out a bit thicker than you would have your little bit at the top. You know, when I do this one, it's such a fine nozzle that you can work really well on this. So I'm just going to put this down on here. There we go. Okay, so that's the bottom bit because I don't really want that sticking in on. Put a piece of that on there so it's not. I've just got a bit of glue on there. Okay, so now we've got these pieces. I think I'm going to have a piece that's going to come down like this. It needs to be cut off just a bit. So let's take it to there and we'll take it up to about there. Now you could measure it, but you don't always have to measure it. So I want this piece to just run down like that. That's a really nice floral piece. That's a piece like this. As I say, they're all scrappy bits. I'm going to take that in underneath, I think. And then this piece is going to come up in on this corner like that. Okay, so we'll put this piece in first. And that's going to come up to the top. So let's just put some of this glue in like this. And make sure I've got my flowers growing up, and we'll have that with the right sort of distance in like that. Okay. Then I was going to put this piece in, wasn't I? And again, it's entirely up to you how you use your scrap pieces, but it's a great way of just adding different amounts of texture quite easily. I'm just doing that, so I've just got a little bit of a gap through on there. Then we wanted this piece, didn't we? Or did we want this piece to go in underneath? I think we wanted this to go in underneath, didn't we? So I'm going to do that, but leave just a little bit at the side. I'm not going to stick that side down completely yet, so I'm just going to balance it. We want it at just slightly different heights, so I'm just laying that there. So you can see it's not exactly completely straight because you want those different bits of texture coming through. And then this one's going to tuck in underneath and it's going to come sort of at that sort of angle, I think about there. Okay, then I can press those bits down. Okay, so we've just got that, and the reason I've done that is because this circle here is going to come down at the bottom, so it's going to fill that up. So we're not wasting any space at all. So let's take this on here. And this can go in on the top like that. There we go. Whoops, make sure we've got it straight. I've got lots of glue on here because I'm using I'm not wasting anything, but it does mean, okay, so that's going to go down in there. I'm going to have that with dimensionals because I want to have that standing up a bit, and I want my little oh, what do you call it? Leaves to be tucked in underneath. So let's take this one. Keep getting bits of my dimensional sticking onto each other. I think it's because it's still cold. Okay, we'll have one in on there. We'll have, I'm just going to stick 3, and we don't need a huge amount, so 3 like that. We want him to have a dimensional on, so let's just put that one there and that one there, and the little this is where it's great to have, as I always say, to have your big and your small ones, because it means that I can put on here these really sweet little characters. You've got a dimensional that will fit quite nicely, and I want one in on the tail as well. So that goes in. And do you remember me saying that if you can't get them in on the center, you can always use your scissors to help to build it up. Okay, so and we want to cut this off as well, but we'll do that at the end. So this piece is going to come in on here. Whoops. And we'll have that in just like that down in on the bottom. So that's like that. And then we'll put our little gnome that we've coloured in on top with our little heart on, so he can go in like that. Now we're going to put the leaves. I want to tuck some of these leaves in. So the leaves are just going to be, I think we'll glue these in because that's going to be easier, isn't it? So I could put dimensionals in. I'm going to do a bit of both, I think. Okay, that's one. I've got the different colours, so I'm just going to match a few up together. Oops. Sure I've got the tops to the bottoms. Not quite sure which way they go up. Yeah, I think it is the pointy side. I think you could probably do them however you wanted, but I'm just going to do them like that, and I'm going to put a few of them round, and then I am going to add a couple of dimensionals in there as well. So that one can go in like that. So we've got 3 there. Can't remember how many I did. Let's just take some little dimensionals, and we'll have just a little one in the centre there. Little one in the centre there. We want odd numbers. Whoops. Make sure I've got it on the side that I haven't coloured in. Okay, so let's put this one maybe sort of about there. And we'll have this one at about there. Tuck that in. There we are. So we've got that sort of height going on around there. And I might just put a few down in on here. Whoops. Like that. That's that one. And I think I'm going to do another dark just with a dimensional on top. Here we go. Because then I've got, as I say, you've then got the height difference in there, which just adds a little bit of interest in on here. So I can put that one in like that. That's better. So you've got your height and things coming in like that. Then we've got our little squirrel and our little bird. What have I just done? There's the bird. I want to have now I might put the bird in, whoops, sticking to my fingers. I think I'm going to put the bird in amongst the leaves like that, and the squirrel can probably come down on the bottom maybe. Yes, the bird's going to go in between the leaves, or the squirrel between the leaves. What do we reckon? No, the bird, because he's smaller. So my bird is going to come in on that little leaf like that. So he comes up, and then the squirrel is going to come, I think, down at the bottom here. I think I want him sort of in like that. Yes, that's quite good, because you can have him that with his tail, you know, normally you've got a bit of a dip. It actually looks quite good because it looks as if his tail's a bit bushier. So we just need to take this apart because I want to have it taken apart. So we're just going to cut this down, and this is where you can put your sentiments and things, you don't have to worry about them being perfectly straight because we're literally just putting them in. So we can have everywhere there. We can have, I think I might even take the is apart, unless I'm going to lose it. We'll see. So I'm taking that. Spring is everywhere. Yeah, that's fine. I don't want that in. Now this is not going to be done with, is it going to be done with dimensionals? No, it's not. So I'm just going to stick this straight down. So we'll have spring is like that. And then we'll have everywhere like that. And that, I think I've just got one little thing to add. Spring is everywhere, like that. Okay, so you've got all of your layers and everything going on in there. And then just this one little thing that I'm going to add, which is, and they are still in the annual catalogue, which are, where are we? Here we go. Right, these are called Flowers Adhesive Backed Trinkets. Ever so pretty, quite big, and they are in the annual catalogue. So have a little look for them, and you get them in silver, and they come in gold. So you can get them in whichever you want. They are on, and I'm going to show you because I thought that they were retired, but when I was looking through for something the other day, I thought, oh no, they're not. So I thought I would show you where they are because they're actually very pretty. And as I say, I thought they were retired. They were given to me by my upline at Christmas, and normally it's retired bits and pieces that she gives. But here we go. Number 2, flowers trinkets. Here we are. They flowers trinkets. Flowers adhesive backed trinkets. 90 adhesive backed pieces in 3 colours: brass, champagne, and silver. Now, you can just about see the difference. So that's silver. That's champagne, and that's brass. Those two are very similar. In fact, I didn't know that they were, I thought they were just 2. So I could do, am I going to do gold? I think I'm going to do silver on this because I think silver will just take it out quite nicely. So let's just take one of these, and we're going to put him, I think we're going to have one just probably like that, and then I think I'm going to put another one. Let's just take it up from there, up in on here. I should have 3. I don't think I am because I've got the other pieces coming down, and I don't want to overdo it. I could put one down on there, but I don't think so. So anyway, there's your card. I think it's really lovely. We've used all sorts of bits and pieces of scrap. We've done some fussy cutting. We've used 2 different stamp sets. So we've used the country bouquet because I wanted the leaves from there because I think that they worked quite nicely. I could have put some hearts and things in to add to this heart if I wanted to, but I don't think so. I could have maybe taken this heart from here and put that over the top of that one. That would probably have worked. But even as it is, I think it looks lovely. It's very spring-like because you've got, you know, all of the colours and things coming through, and the little robin and the squirrel. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.